Hey everybody, I'm Staff Sergeant Mckenzie, your local Army National Guard recruiter, and I have with me Derek Mikilas. He's a PFC 13 Juliet with the Army National Guard. He is one of my recruits that I recruited last year. He's been through training and he's getting ready to go to his unit this weekend. So Derek, do you mind just telling everybody about yourself?
Yeah, so originally born and raised in Stockton, California. Now I live in Fuquay, Varina. I've been out here for probably 13 years or more. I've always wanted to enlist since I was a young boy. I didn't know really about the National Guard or those opportunities. Being a part-time soldier it was for me. The moment I learned about it, I just knew that this was my calling. I thought it was all or nothing, but I can still serve my country on a part-time basis and live my life. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely awesome. And so that's what brought me to that decision, was being able to serve and still follow my career path on the civilian side as well.
All right. And you're married and you have a son.
That's right. Been married for between, glad my wife's not here. Been married about 10 years, and my boy is 2 years and 4 months, and he's my number one motivating reason to do this. I want to set the standard. I hope he'll follow in my footsteps. Hopefully Army, but either branch is fine.
Well, that's awesome. So me and you, we've known each other for over a year now. And so mainly what I want to talk about is just, your experience as far as like being recruited and working with a military recruiter, your experience going through the military entrance processing station, MEPS, taking the Army physical, the ASVAB, and then your experience as far as like basic training and your job training goes. So just tell us a little bit about how our relationship was built. And then, some of the questions that you asked, some of the questions that you wish you would have asked, and then, anything that you might have done differently as far as like, working with a recruiter.
All right. And can I give a little bit of my...
Absolutely.
How we came to be?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Should I look in that camera?
Yeah.
Okay. So, looking into enlisting, I knew there was active duty and I knew there was reserve. I didn't know anything about National Guard. And I was dead set on going reserve till I talked to a colleague of mine and said, hey, Michaelis, you really should give the National Guard a call. Just ask him questions, see what you think. And I'm so glad he did that. Sergeant Mckenzie had left me a voicemail. A few days later, I called him back and said, I'm ready to ask questions now. And that started it. We spent a good amount of time on the phone, mostly because of my age. I turned 32 when I was at AIT. And so I have a house, vehicles, wife and child. So I had a lot of questions, probably more than a younger candidate might have. And so we spent time talking, and Sergeant Mckenzie was able to help me navigate and pick an MOS and explain to me how much time it would take to train, what my schedule would be like when I came back, and everything checked out for me. So the next step was to actually go enlist, and in order to do that, I had to go to MEPS, where they check everything. Your blood, your urine, your height, your weight, your record, etc. After that, everything checked out, so I enlisted, and then I just waited for my ship date, which I basically got to pick when I shipped, and that was really nice. Again, I have a family, and I have 2 civilian jobs as well that I put on hold while I went to go training. So the National Guard would be my 3rd job, technically.
Now, as far as the ASVAB goes, what did you think about the ASVAB?
The ASVAB is challenging for some and less for others, is the best way I could put it. Definitely, you want to score good on it. My recommendation, if that's okay. Brush up on your math, solving for X and basic algebra. and how to add, divide, subtract, multiply, fractions, and decimals, you'll be fine. Brush up on your math though.
About how long do you think you studied before you took the test?
I only studied math and in preparation for the test, and I spent probably an hour just on my own time. Studied for math for about an hour because that's not my strong suit. I'm much better now. And I did well. I scored an 86, which was, funny enough, the same thing I scored, I think, at 19 years old. So way back in the day when I took the ASVAB, I scored the same exact thing.
Yeah, that's really good.
And I was happy because I thought it'd be much lower.
Yeah.
So brush up on your math. That's my best advice. Unless you're just gifted with math, then maybe brush up on problem solving.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've studied for probably a couple of weeks before I took mine back in 2010. Or no, I took the ASVAB in 2009. So, and I had been out of school for about 7 years when I took the ASVAB. So yeah, I definitely had to brush up on math. And then the English, that's another big area.
English, yeah.
Yeah, math and English.
Definitely.
So let's go to the MEPS process. I know you already talked about, the medical stuff, getting your blood work, your vision, your hearing, and all that good stuff. Once you got through the medical stuff, you went into the contracting part, right?
Correct.
And we already had a job locked in. I remember you kind of really dug into the jobs and stuff as far as like what you wanted to do, what fits you the best and everything. So just talk a little bit about that aspect of it.
I spent a lot of time picking which job I wanted because I have the 6-year contract to take full advantage of everything that comes with what I've signed up for. And I highly recommend everyone do a 6-year contract. But again, it's 6 years, so you really want to look at the job you pick, what it entails. Is it something that can help you on the civilian side? Mine not so much, but that's not what I was looking for. I think a younger candidate would be looking more for that. Or if it just sounds like fun and just something you want to do. So it took me a while to pick mine. Training time was a factor. Again, I have a family. If you have no family, training time shouldn't matter that much. Because actually AIT is pretty fun, I think, no matter where you go. So don't worry about training time unless you're in a rush to come back and you have a wife and kids, etc. But yeah, for 6 years, if you're going to do the long contract like I did, take time and really think about it. And if you don't mind me saying, take a look at what's on the incentive list. Sign up for an MLS that's in demand. It's extra money for something you plan to do anyway. So why not?
And the ship dates are a little bit more flexible on those jobs too.
And ship dates are more flexible on the incentive list.
Yeah, definitely.
And to add to that, when I was at Basic and AIT, there were a lot of guys, some National Guard, some not, didn't even know that there was an incentive list. So ask your recruiter. Ask questions. It's not on them to tell you everything. You got to ask questions and do your due diligence as well in the process.
Yeah, because you're serving a certain amount of time, not just to give your time away, but also to get something out of it.
Correct. And
you knew that this is what I wanted to get out of, basically sacrificing your time, being away from the family, doing something that, 99% of the people can't or won't do. And then, you had a really good idea of what you wanted to get out of it. So,
exactly.
And then, my job as a recruiter, and then your first line leader, whenever you get to your unit and stuff, it's their job to make sure that you still have all these incentives. You know what I mean? Like if you're using the GI Bill, that you get that money. If you got a bonus, you're getting that bonus money when it's supposed to come in and everything. So, that's what I'm here to do as far as like from here on out. And we've talked about that before. I'm always here for you.
Definitely.
So let's go into basic training and everything. So you said you turned 32 in AIT.
In AIT.
Yeah. So you were a little bit older than most of the guys in there.
31 at Basic, and I went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Okay. Yep.
It's only 3.5 hours from my home, which was kind of nice. in a way. I think it might have made me more homesick.
Yeah.
But so I knew I would be thrown in with a bunch of younger guys. I was immensely prepared for that. To my surprise, though, in basic, there was a 38-year-old and there was a 34-year-old. So I was not the oldest, and I for sure wasn't the youngest, obviously.
Yeah.
But there were older guys than me there. And that just goes to show that age is only a factor if you make it. So.
So did the drill sergeants treat you any different because you were a little bit older, or they pretty much treat everybody the same?
They treated everyone the same. I think they would get on me a little bit less, but not because of my age. It's just more I knew how to act and react to certain situations.
Just your
I gave them less ammunition against me
Yeah.
than say my younger peers would.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas they were just throwing themselves to the sharks sometimes, and I knew when to speak, when not to speak, etc. And that just comes with age.
Yeah. Is there anything that you wish you would have asked me before you went to training? Because I know we talked a lot. And you had a lot of questions.
I asked the sergeant many questions. And every week I thought of new and more questions. I encourage everyone to do that. Ask your recruiter questions. Ask them.
How much of that did you actually remember when you got to training, though?
Maybe 75%.
75%?
And there were questions while I was there that I thought, oh, why didn't I ask Sergeant Mckenzie? I don't recall what those were.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, I would ask you right now.
Yeah.
But there were more questions. And I just encourage everyone to ask questions, lots of questions. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And that's what the recruiters are here for, is to answer your questions and set you up to start the process.
Because an issue for you might not be an issue for somebody else.
That's correct.
And an issue for somebody else might not be an issue for you.
Very true.
So, like, somebody that doesn't have a family, they don't have kids back at home and stuff like that, they're probably not worried about paying bills or BAH payments or writing letters home and stuff like that. So
exactly.
It's always good to ask those questions, even if you're not going to remember it.
Right. You won't remember everything going in.
Yeah. But did that help you feel more prepared and stuff when you got there?
It did. The amount of time we spoke, I felt confident going in. Partly due to my age, but just the amount of time we spent talking about it, what to expect, and what am I getting myself into. So I did feel good going in.
And we have a recruit sustainment program, so our recruits drill with us 1 week in a month before they go to training. However, you went right in the middle of COVID, so you didn't really get...
It was a virtual drill. We did.
Yeah, virtual drills.
We had one that was in person.
Before you left.
But the rest were virtual, unfortunately. But the RSP drills are great, especially before you go in. It gives you a little sense of what to expect.
Because you've been to one now since we got back, so you kind of see how it is supposed to work, you know what I mean? So, and you think that what we do at the RSP would help the recruits that are getting ready to ship out to training?
Absolutely. Maybe a little more marching would be my only critique.
Okay.
But other than that, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely helps give someone an idea of what to expect in basic. So go to drill and pay attention.
Yeah. And come as a guest if you want to.
Or come as a guest.
Yeah.
That's right. That's a great option.
And stuff. So is there anything else you'd like to say about basic training? Like if somebody is, thinking about enlisting into the National Guard, but they're like, well, I'm kind of worried about basic training. Is there anything that you can say that would help somebody that's, that's got that specific concern?
I think most people worry about going into basic for a number of reasons. I would like to say that there's moments where it sucks, but it's supposed to suck. It's basic training, basic combat training. There's a few moments of fun here and there, but it's not summer camp. You're not there to have fun.
Yeah, it's like a rite of passage. Basically.
It's a rite of passage. You must get through basic training to call yourself a soldier.
Yeah.
And once you do it, you'll be so proud and impressed with yourself. So in those hard times during basic, just remember it's temporary. It will pass. That's one thing Sergeant told me that stuck with me was it will pass, and I just remember that in my hardest moments. I was homesick or drill sergeants were really getting down on me. And they're supposed to. So
yeah.
supposed to toughen you up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And even at my age, I still gain some benefit, not just learning how to be a soldier, but I could say it helped me reach down a little further and gather some of that inner strength.
Yeah.
So it's not supposed to be fun, but like they told me, drink the Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you hear that a lot. So, yeah, I was kind of in the same situation. I didn't have any kids when I left the basic training, but I was married at the time and everything, and it's hard being away from the family.
Very much so.
For the first time and stuff.
Very much so.
And I know that's one reason why you were looking at like more shorter MOS choices, so you weren't away from the family as long.
Definitely.
And your training was like 7-8 weeks.
AIT was 7.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For 13 Juliet.
That's correct.
Which is
a fire control specialist in the artillery.
Okay. And they basically control where the artillery guns.
That's correct. So artillery won't shoot without the word of the 13 Juliet.
Mm-hmm.
We say when and where to fire, and without us, the artillery won't fire. They can fire, but they don't know where they're firing, how much they're firing, when they're firing. So
mm-hmm.
we're basically a coordinator for the artillery.
Yeah. And so what really about that job like pushed you towards it?
Well, I'm a coordinator on my civilian side. I'm an exhibits coordinator for a publishing company. So I like coordinating. I know how to coordinate,
mm-hmm.
multitask, and it's a combat MOS, but it's one that requires a little more brains than bronze.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that suited me because of my experience in the office side of civilian work.
Yeah. So it wasn't just the shorter AIT, it was,
Well, I could have been a 13 Bravo, which is even 2.5 weeks shorter.
mm-hmm.
That's only a 5 week. But there wasn't much technical skill there. It was just manual labor,
yeah.
which I have no problem with, but it just wasn't what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
So
okay.
we need the 13 Bravos, just like the 13 Bravos need the 13 Juliets.
Mm-hmm.
If the 13 Bravos aren't there, then I'm telling no one where and when to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bad guys aren't getting shot at. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I need them and they need me.
Mm-hmm. So would you say you're pretty happy with your job choice?
So far, yes.
Yeah.
So far, yes. And I think I'll continue to be so. And I think I'll even be more happy once I get established at my unit.
Yeah, definitely. And we've talked about that as far as like, getting to your unit and getting integrated in there with everybody else. And it's sort of like basic where, you're going to something new,
mm-hmm.
but you're going in where everybody's already soldiers. They already have that discipline. They have the leadership, and most of the units, they will welcome you in with with open arms.
That's what I've heard.
They like to see, new soldiers coming in, and especially one with, life experience like you have, and you didn't just pick this job because that was the only job that was out there for you. You know what I mean? So
very true.
You have a lot of people, like, well, I'm just doing this job because it's got a bonus, or I'm just doing this job because it sounds easy or something like that. But they might not be happy with that job when they get there. But I feel like, you knew what you were getting into when you were looking at jobs and stuff. So
definitely well thought out.
Yeah.
Well thought out.
Definitely.
So the feeling I have now would be waiting to go to my unit would be first day of school, butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
So I know things will be all right, but there's a little bit of anxiety, but I'm also excited.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully in a few months we can sit back down and have another conversation, like after you've been at the unit for a few months.
Oh, I'd love to.
And just kind of see if your thoughts are still the same. And everything. Hopefully they are. And see if you're still happy about being in the field artillery world and stuff.
King of battle.
Yep. So anything else you want to say about AIT?
AIT was more fun than basic. You get more liberties, more freedom, but you're still a training environment, so it's still part of TRADOC.
But you still had drill sergeants.
Still had drill sergeants, but there was more non-drill sergeants. We were just sergeants.
Mm-hmm.
also coaching us and training us.
Yeah.
So
do the drill sergeants at AIT, do they mainly focus on like PT and stuff like that?
They were more PT and like the readiness sergeant, making sure we have what we need, taking care of things at the battery or at the base where we stayed.
And they were your platoon sergeants then? Or were they?
Yes, they were.
They were your platoon sergeants?
They were. And then the other cadre that were helping us, they were more of our instructors, but they would also be at the battery supervising, training, coaching, but they would go to class with us and actually be our instructors. There were some civilian instructors, but a lot of the instructors were also sergeants.
Yeah, that's the way it was when I went through AIT, both times too.
Oh, same thing. Then they're still doing the same thing, which is great.
We had a mix of when I went through, we didn't have drill sergeants at AIT. We had AIT platoon sergeants, so they were still cadre, but they were basically drill sergeants. They they ran our PT. They made sure that we were administratively correct and everything, and then we would go to the schoolhouse and we would have our instructors there. Who were NCOs.
NCOs.
Yeah, they weren't drill sergeants either.
So it's the same at Fort Sill. We have our drill sergeants. Oh, well, it's drill sergeants instead of.
Yeah.
They act as the platoon sergeant.
There was a phase in that.
But the drill sergeants do not go to the schoolhouse.
Yeah, they don't.
For anything.
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah, that's not their part of your training. It's not that.
Yeah. Now, were the drill sergeants at AIT, were they a little bit less lenient? Or a little bit more lenient than they were at basic training?
They were. There was definitely a difference. But it also depends where you go.
Yeah.
Is what I've been told. But they were lenient. From Fort Sill, AIT to basic at Fort Jackson.
Yeah.
Definitely a big difference.
And then you said you had more liberties. So like you were able to go off post, stuff like that?
Off post. You couldn't leave base, but you could get off the battery on weekends if you had weekend pass is what they call it.
Right.
So I could go to the mall, go to a restaurant, go to the bowling alley. That was fun.
Yeah. They had a movie theater too?
There was. I don't think it was open at the time.
Okay.
Due to COVID.
Yeah.
But that would have been great. And so... Yeah, you get weekend pass as long as you're good. If you get in trouble or you're not doing the right thing, you can lose your weekend pass, and that really sucks because now you gotta wait a whole another week until you can escape and just relax.
Yep. No, I hear you on that. That's the way I had it too. That first weekend of AIT, we were kind of locked down. We were able to walk up to the little shopette and buy some candy or whatever. Couldn't take it into barracks, but. Just let loose a little bit, and then as we went through, we got to go to a movie theater,
and that's how it was as well.
Yeah.
The longer your class was there, so each platoon is broken down into multiple classes at Fort Sill AIT. So the longer my class was there, the more liberty we got. It was basically just more time on weekend pass. First weekend we did get a pass, but it's called a hygiene pass, and that just means you get 2 or 3 hours to take a transit down to the mall, buy toiletries, toothbrush, wipes, whatever you want to buy, and come back.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like an all-day pass, go have fun type of thing. So
just kind of you just got done with basic and go get what you need that you weren't able to get right before you left. And
exactly.
So, yeah.
Because you have guys not shaving saying, "Well, I ran out of razors."
Yeah.
If they give you a chance to go buy them, there's no excuse. But also you can borrow from a battle buddy.
Yeah.
And you're gonna find that you do that a lot. Ask a battle buddy. Can I borrow some shaving cream? Can I have a razor? Do you got any extra toothbrushes? Or we did a lot of that.
Yeah. So speaking of that, how was the hair standards at AIT? Did they let you have a low fade or anything like that?
They did.
They did? Okay. So no more buzz cuts?
Actually, they let me have a high fade.
Oh, really? Okay. As long as you were within standards?
As long as I was within standard. No hair touching my ear. And then, I don't know what's the length up top. But you obviously can't have it long.
Yeah, you can't go past your eyebrows.
Right. So they pretty much went with that.
Yeah.
But at AIT, Actually, I wouldn't have had mine. I would have mine shorter than this.
Mm-hmm.
I would have mine shorter.
Okay.
Just because I didn't want to incur the wrath of any drill sergeant.
Yeah.
I didn't want to push it. Don't push it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't know the limitations, just go. Make sure you're well under.
Yeah.
Don't. It's not worth it.
Because just like what I told you, it'll pass.
It will pass.
Eventually, you'll get to come and grow your hair back out and have a beard if you want. You know what I mean?
That's right.
As long as you shave for drill. So overall, you were pretty happy with how your AIT went.
Yeah, I am. I enjoyed Fort Sill.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought Fort Sill was nicer than Fort Jackson.
Oh, really?
Personally,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I liked it more.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Fort Jackson's closer to home, I enjoyed Fort Sill more. Part of it's because of more liberty,
Mm-hmm.
but I just thought it was a nicer base as well.
Yeah, nicer installation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Which, you probably weren't able to see too much of Fort Jackson while you were there.
Not too much.
Yeah.
But I believe Fort Jackson's older.
Yeah, it probably is.
Older than Fort Sill. I could be wrong, but I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Or it is.
Yeah, I went to Fort Benning, Georgia for my basic training, and then Fort Knox, Kentucky for AIT, and then they sent me right back to Fort Benning for my first unit.
For your unit.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I don't want to go back to Fort Benning. But once I got there, it was like, this place is great. There was trails that you can go on. You can go biking, running, stuff like that. The museum, the infantry museum was over there, which was really cool.
So that goes to show, even if you didn't like basic somewhere, if you get stationed there, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah, it could be a completely different experience. And it's just like the National Guard. You got units that are really good with morale, that they take care of their soldiers, and you have other units where they're more about just the mission and stuff like that. And I think that's one thing that turns a lot of people off when they get into the National Guard, and they don't necessarily they want to do their 3 or 6 years and then get out. But then you have a lot of people that are like I wish I would have stayed in longer. You know what I mean? So if you're in a unit that, and I don't think you'll have this problem, but if you're in a unit that you're not happy, that your leadership is kind of off a little bit, just wait it out, because everything changes. One thing
leadership changes.
Yeah.
I think the leadership in my unit changed not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
They were looking for NCO spots.
Yep.
13 Juliets to be exact.
Mm-hmm. So leadership changes at your unit. It changes in the state. We get a new adjunct general, every 3 or 4 years. So, things change. The only thing constant in the Army is change.
This is true.
So, and then if you don't like it, work your way up and then change it.
This is true.
Get in those leadership positions, and you kind of know, like, I didn't like this when I was a private, so I'm not going to do that as an NCO. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I was. I had some really good NCOs, and I had some really bad NCOs. So,
in my experience, I think a majority were good. There's definitely a few I might call bad apples.
Mm-hmm. And in training, you're definitely going to have more of the good NCOs. You know what I mean? Just because they will weed out. They will weed out the bad ones. You know what I mean? So, and to be in those positions, it's a process that you have to go through.
Drill sergeant.
Yeah, drill sergeant.
Oh yeah.
AIT instructor. Stuff like that. So, yeah, I think they do a pretty good job of finding the right people.
I do too.
Positions.
I could tell at basic, but especially at AIT, that the cadre really did care about the success of the recruits.
Yeah, and they're not there to try to kick you out or make you quit or anything like that, are they?
No, they want you to pass.
They want you to succeed.
They want you to succeed.
Yeah.
But it's up to you.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any failures or dropouts at AIT?
AIT, we had what they called recycles, so they wouldn't. You didn't pass the test, you get one more chance to pass the test. If you still didn't pass it, you get recycled to a class that was behind you or 2 classes behind you, and then you would basically retake the course, but you're with that class now.
Yeah, you would retrain.
Exactly. I seen probably five guys.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So not too many.
Mm-hmm.
Not too many.
How big was your class?
There was So even from class, it splits into subclasses. So we were 50-51. There was a class 15 and class 51.
Okay.
Probably like 12 to 15 in each one. And then we combined for class 50-51. I'm not sure why they did that, but we were treated as the same class. Very rarely did we break up 50 and 51. Maybe for certain exercises where we needed two groups.
Yeah.
But 50-51 was considered one class, or treated as one class the whole time. So it was probably around, it was between around 25 of us maybe.
And y'all all started at the same time? Or was the 50 class ahead of the 51 class?
Well, we had one guy who had been there for 7 months because he had been injured. And so the joke was, in another month he'll be an NCO here.
Oh, yeah.
But he was there for so long because of medical reasons. We all started at the same time though.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we didn't have, in my class there wasn't any recycles. Now some of our guys in our classes did get recycled. I think there was 2 in my class.
Yeah.
And I saw it in the lower classes, I saw it happening as well, but not a lot.
Yeah,
not
that's
a lot.
good. Do you still keep up with anybody that you went to basic training or AIT with?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've made lifelong friends.
Okay, that's good. Any from here in North Carolina?
No.
So basically they're just spread out.
They're spread out. I've got like one in different states. One's in Hawaii, one's in Pennsylvania. So yeah, they're spread out. There is a guy, actually, who was in my class at AIT, who's from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, really?
So actually, I don't know if we're lifelong friends, but he's a buddy. I keep in contact with him.
That's good.
So, but yeah, small world.
But let me turn this one off. So your buddy from Raleigh, was he on active duty?
Yes, he's active duty.
Okay. So he's probably off somewhere.
And this is something I came across a lot, was towards the end of basic and more towards the end of AIT, a lot of the active duty guys had wished they went National Guard.
Oh, really?
Very few National Guard guys wanted to switch over to active. A lot of active guys wanted to switch over to National Guard.
And why do you think that is?
Being homesick.
Yeah.
Want to go back home and not wait for leave or whenever they get a chance to go home. But also, it could have been just dealing with me because I put on a somewhat comfortable life on pause to go train. I worked 2 jobs. Financially, I was able to pay all the bills and take care of my family. And I put that on pause to go train. And so maybe the younger guys saw, well, I could work a civilian job and be a soldier at the same time. And not just be a soldier on soldier pay, because most soldiers don't have a second job or another means of income.
Yeah, I mean, they really don't, unless they're married and their spouse works.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Stock market. A lot of soldiers, active duty guys, play the stock market. So,
yeah,
that's one thing. But yeah, a lot of guys were thinking, man, why didn't I go National Guard? Well, it's too late now.
Yeah.
I think you can go from guard to active, but I'm pretty sure you can't go from active to guard.
No, you gotta finish up your active duty contract first.
That's for sure.
Yeah, once you get that 3 or 4 years or whatever active duty contract you have, then you can come
go,
back in the guard. But yeah,
that'll be okay though. Everything, this too shall pass, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was active duty for 7.5 years, and it flew by like quick. Like I don't even remember where all that time went.
I think the activity guys have a lot of fun once they get settled in.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of fun. You're working with the same guys Monday through Friday. You get really, really good relationships.
Build that camaraderie.
Yeah, but you're also, when you're first starting out, you're literally treated like a child. Doesn't matter if you're 19 years old or 29 years old.
I heard that's the way it is, especially when you go to active duty unit.
Yeah. When you go on active duty, when you're an active duty unit, especially if you're living in the barracks and you don't have an on-post house or an off-post house, you know what I mean. So I'm not knocking active duty at all.
No, it's just a different.
It's different. Yeah,
it's a little different.
Yeah.
And I think some of those guys that I interacted with who wanted to switch to National Guard, I think the teasing got to them because the National Guard guys would tease them. They would say, "Oh, we're going to Fort Hood." You mean Texas? The active guy would say, and they'd say, "No, Fort Neighborhood."
Oh yeah.
And so we would, and I'm guilty of it too. We would tease the active duty guys, say, "Hey, we're going home."
Yep.
And so I think it got to some of them. So, well, I want to go home too. Well, you sign up for that. Yeah. And again, not knocking active duty whatsoever. We need an active duty standing army always.
Yeah, definitely.
But the National Guard is always also here and answers the same call when it comes.
Yeah, and then we're the guys that, you know, when there's hurricanes, when there's winter storms, floods, tornadoes,
riots.
Riots. We are the ones that go out and take care of that kind of stuff.
And that's one of the things that drew me to the Guard as well.
Yeah.
I'm not just National Guard. I'm North Carolina National Guard. So I'm serving my country and my state and my local community.
Yeah.
That was a big draw for me because I love the state of North Carolina.
And when you go out on those missions, I know for a fact when you go out on those missions and you're rescuing people, you're delivering water, whatever you're doing, it's going to be a whole nother level of you're of proud to be serving your
reward.
Country. Yeah,
I would imagine you feel very rewarded.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope, I don't hope for a disaster, but if one comes our way, I hope that I'm able to deploy, whether it's mandatory or voluntarily, and go help out.
And like I tell everybody, if you're in long enough, it's definitely going to come up. There's going to be those times.
There'll be something.
Yeah.
The world's a crazy place.
It is, yeah. But that's why people like us, step up. We hear the call and we answer it.
That's right.
And I'm super proud that you chose to work with me and come join the National Guard. And I wish there was 100 more recruits like you that I ran into. You know what I mean?
I'm flattered.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate everything that you do for us as an organization, and I appreciate your time to sit down and just have a good conversation.
Anytime.
Yeah. It's hard to find people like that. I mean, it really is. As a recruiter, I can definitely say it is hard to find people that, not only I'm going to give up a portion of my life to, serve my country and community, but also I'll help you out as far as getting other people to join.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So hopefully...
I've been recruiting on the down low.
Yeah, good. We need force multipliers out there.
Yeah.
But hopefully, maybe somebody will see this video and be like, that really spoke to me and stuff like that. So, if we get any comments or anything like that, would you be willing to,
If anyone wants to speak to me directly, I'd be more than happy to answer questions or tell someone my experience or my opinion.
Okay.
More than happy to.
Great, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if we run into anybody like that, we'll definitely get them in touch with you.
Great.
That way they can get some real answers from a real soldier that's, been in it and done it and stuff. Not just a recruiter that's just out there trying to...
It's a little different.
Yeah, it is different.
If you ask Sergeant a question, ask me a question, you'll get relatively the same answer.
Okay, that's good, yeah.
But I might have a little different insight because I just went through training, whereas he went through training a longer time ago.
Yeah.
And things, like you said, the Army's ever changing.
Yeah,
so
it's always changing.
Things are different.
All right, so is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap it up?
I would say come join the 1% and let's get it.
Sounds good.